Hi, everybody, and welcome to Matrix Live Season 2, Episode 23. And I'm back from holiday, as you can
Welcome
probably
back.
see. Thank you. I'm looking a bit orange and need a haircut, even more than normal. What have I missed?
First, I think we should apologize for the potential noises of the guy fixing blinds on the roof
Oh, yeah, if you
windows.
see somebody falling off a ladder
So-
behind us, it's because somebody's trying to put a little blind in the window up there to make the office a little less like a sauna come greenhouse.
So, in terms of news, well, you haven't really missed it, but I'm still going to mention it. We have Travis joining us at the beginning of July.
Indeed, this is incredibly exciting news. Travis is probably the most prolific contributor from the community to especially Riot Web and projects as a whole. Is going to come on board some full-time, working on both the spec and also working on Riot Web, although I think the immediate priority is going to be helping clear the spec backlog, which has accumulated. And he's joining.
3rd of July, I think.
Cool. So just a couple of weeks from now. This really is incredibly exciting because it means that between Travis and Hubert, or Uberag, I should say, not only do we have an entire Canadian faction joining us, but also folks who are dedicated to working on the spec. In practice, Hubert has started off more on end-to-end encryption stuff and has been making really good progress adding in public key encryption support into libOhm, which is needed for incremental key backups as well as antivirus aware end-to-end scanning.
Sorry, just the ladders moving behind us is ridiculous.
Don't get distracted. Basically, Hubert's making good practice on end-to-end, make good progress on end-to-end, but is also going to be working on spec, and Travis is going to be working on spec. We've also got myself and Eric and VDH and Dave available to work on spec to some extent, but this is a lot more than the great big zero who we've had for a lot of the last year. So, yay!
Yes, progress.
Do you want to talk about Riot or something?
Sure. So on Riot Mobile, so folks have been implementing the end-to-end key request. So that's going to help a lot. What do we have? Performance work as well, with Steph going and looking at why Riot iOS is so slow, especially. And unfortunately, we had a JSOC project which was meant to implement an alternative push mechanism, but it didn't work out. So this is not going to be happening. But
Well, it's not going to be happening as part of GSOC, unfortunately. Yeah. So sorry, all of the F-Droid and Android people who are looking forward to this. But on the plus side, we have an entire project plan for it, and if anybody, in fact, I'll probably file it as a proposal of some kind. And if somebody wanted to pick it up and play with it, it's a really, really fun project to do alternative push notifications.
Summer holidays are coming. I'm sure a lot of you would be bored.
Yeah, it's possible. Right.
What else? On Riot Web, there is still some GDPR work which was left over and progressing, but Dave, I think, is almost done on that.
Yes, I think he has done that. Implementing the remaining erasure stuff we needed for GDPR, although it's been a massive distraction all through the month. Also, replacing replacing FreeSwitch with Jitsi at last, I think, has almost landed. I think this is our fourth time beginning that work before something distracted, but this time we've actually finished it, I hope.
That's really useful. And there is an antivirus work which is about to land as well, so quite interesting.
Yeah, really interesting in that it's got to be end-to-end capable. We need to do a spec proposal of this. At the moment it's being done as custom work driven by the French government activity, but the whole point is to get it into the matrix spec itself, and so once we're sure that it vaguely looks correct, I expect there to be a big MSc for proposing how we could go about doing that.
And a eventually a lot of P1 bugs, which have been fixed by Mr. Michael slash Tech Guy. It's been efficient.
Yeah, there's been blitzing through them faster than we can review them, which is always a good problem. Although I think we're just about keeping up, and also matrix search work is pretty much done. So we now have an end-to-end capable search engine. We just need to work out how to package it.
Yeah, Tom has been playing with it a bit, so yeah, that's good. That's good.
Meanwhile, on the back-end side of things, on Synapse, we spent a lot of work, or basically all of this week has been spent doing security work. After the hijack on #matrix on matrix.org on Monday, auditing the Federation auth rules, writing side tests for the untested parts of it, and generally really pivoting a lot of work into improving the quality of the Federation implementation there. Next up on that is going to be improving the spec work on it, which we begin next week. Meanwhile, we also shipped the security update yesterday for 0.31.2 to kind of defend against any possible recurrence of a hijack of that nature. Although in theory, it should only have affected #matrix and #test, but because we don't know what other bugs there may be out there, it seemed wise to go and put in to make sure that even if the auth rules did get compromised, you can't ever go and hijack the room itself in that manner.
Cool.
On Dendrite, Anoa has been, or Andrew I should say, has been plugging away on the AS API and got it working with traffic running two ways between Discord and Dendrite, which is very exciting. And screencasts of that, which will have linked into This Week in Matrix. AP White Hat is also working away on GSOC, filling in the gaps on the S2S API. And also, whilst we're talking about GSOC, Zel Nort has been, or Valentin, I think is his real name, has been working away on the Python bindings for Megon and has been producing some big PRs, which are looking pretty promising. Been working a lot with VDH on that. It looks good.
Cool. What do we have? Do we have spec again?
Oh yeah, so obviously on the spec side of things there's been a lot of work happening this week. Travis has been blitzing through, perhaps in anticipation of actually starting to work on it full time, lots and lots of spec backlog emissions as well as new proposals. In general there are a lot of MSCs. There's been a lot of controversy from some quarters over the spec process and whether we should ever skip the Google Doc proposal stage for trivial stuff, whether we could be pragmatic about that sort of thing, or whether we should maximize bureaucracy. The conclusion there was ironically to write a proposal to go and allow us to shortcut the proposal process a bit when needed. One of the many MSCs. And then also lots of controversy about the server-to-server API having stagnated for so long, and in general server implementers getting really pissed off that the server-to-server API is still not released or stable. So we're fixing that. We're having a big workshop next week to try to unstick the stuff there and actually start writing patches against it to bring it up to speed as quickly as possible, to at least document how it's meant to work today. And then once we've got that released, we can go and open it up for everybody to shred and suggest their improvements, etc.
Which I'm sure they won't hesitate to do.
Indeed. Lots of work on the spec in general planned next week. We've basically queued up a week of workshops basically to try to fix a lot of the big elephants in the room which have been hanging around for up to 4 years, and basically get them out of understand what we need to get them out of beta, and by extension all of Matrix out of beta. So look forward to hearing what happens out of that this time next week, if we survive. Cool. Anything else?
I think that's about it. I haven't checked what's in the This Week in Matrix side of things from the community.
No, that's because I haven't finished collating it yet.
Yeah.
As Ben's on holiday, it falls to me. But I'll finish collating it in a bit. In fact, we should call out one massive big thing, which is that Neko is talking end-to-end encryption, with
Oh,
Riot.
that's what you were testing earlier and not
Yeah.
telling me what you were testing.
Yes, sorry, I was trying to surprise you by suddenly talking to you end to end from Neko, but it wasn't working between us because our accounts are too complicated and we've got too much crap. But if you test it on a simpler account, it turns out it works really well. And we have a screencast that Mujex put together about half an hour ago, which shows it happening, which you probably have already seen by the time you listen to this, because it will be embedded in the This Week in Matrix blog post.
That's exciting.
It's really exciting. I mean, I feel it's kind of the tip of the iceberg, in that then you obviously have to get all the racy stuff right, just like we had to on Riot. But hopefully, it should be much easier to learn from our mistakes and also the fixes which we have in Riot. What else should we be? There are a couple of other big things like that, but honestly, go read the blog post.
Will be easier. Cool.
Yeah, indeed. Well, thanks everybody for listening. See you next week.
Have a good weekend. Bye.
Bye.